What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the crypto catch up. Now, we are seeing some absolutely insane moves from the market right now. And in today's live stream, what I want to do is I want to go over exactly what's happening in the world of crypto. We're going to be taking a look at the total market cap, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and many more, just getting an idea of why this moment is so big and why you need to be watching it extremely closely. Now, as you guys know, this is the crypto catch up, the home and place where you can go to if you want to catch up on crypto. And if you guys are new here, I would really appreciate it if you are, especially rewatching this, that you could go down real quick, drop a like so more people see it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. But with that in mind, guys, let's go ahead and let's get straight into it. Now, for those of you who are in our live feed, please do let me know if there are any issues with the audio or the video or anything like that. But we're going to jump straight into it today. So let's get straight into it. So here we go. So looking at what we're going to, where should we start at today, guys? Let's start with the price. Okay, so we're going to start with the price. And then what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about why this is such a big moment. And then we're going to correlate this a little bit to what we are seeing on, some of our more fundamental metrics. Okay, we're going to take a look at the liquidation map. We're going to look at open interest. We're going to look at all of these things. But let's start with the price because that's where this big moment is occurring. Okay, now we don't typically do a ton of technical analysis here on this channel. But what I hope you guys do understand is that oftentimes technical analysis and fundamental analysis do go in line with each other, right? In the sense that if you're seeing a lot of stuff happening from a fundamental perspective, being able to pair that from a technical perspective is extremely important. For example, if it's a good example here, if liquidations are crazy to the upside right now. So I'm talking about, everybody thinks we're going to go down, 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 and liquidations are above us like crazy. But from a technical perspective, we are seeing the price getting closer and closer to a massive level of support. It may be good to take some profits if you're on a short trade or something of that nature, because realistically, we might bounce and start liquidating those people. And so obviously you could have noticed and seen maybe where that bounce was coming from to liquidate those people by pairing your fundamental and technical analysis. I think solely relying on fundamental analysis isn't a good idea. I think solely relying on technical analysis isn't a good idea. But I think pairing them together is the perfect, beautiful combination that will actually allow you to have a good understanding of this market. Hence the reason why we're doing some TA on the channel here today. Now, I do a lot more technical analysis over on my main channel, which you can check out in the description below. But let's talk about it and let's kind of go over what's happening here, okay? So we're looking at total market cap, and what this is quite simply just the total market cap of crypto, okay? The total market cap of crypto. And currently where we are is right around $2 trillion. Let's get a line drawn out at that $2 trillion mark, which is this red line. You know what? That's a great number. Let's go ahead and make this a green line, okay? So this green line is the $2 trillion mark. Now, what you're going to be able to see is a couple things. We, of course, have over the last couple months been putting in some structure that is rather bullish, right? We can see this structure right here in which we had the descending higher lows, and then, of course, or no, the lower highs, sorry, and then, of course, the lower lows. And I know that doesn't sound good, right? It's a downtrend. But if you know technical analysis, what you know is that when you're at the top of a macro uptrend and you enter into a descending channel of this nature, you have over a 70 to 80% chance of breaking to the top side of it. These are typically slowdown / continuation patterns that do typically lead to growth to the upside. And so because of that, of course, we have been quite bullish about the structure in which we've been creating. Now, over the last few weeks, though, things took a bit of a crazy turn, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, in the sense that at one given point, we actually broke to the bottom side and lost support within this structure. And what that means is that we saw, let's go ahead. What I would like to do is actually, yeah, that's much better. What you can see is that we lost support here. We fell out of this structure and then, of course, eventually recovered back into it. My financial friend in the building. What's up, everybody? Go check him out. One of my best friends. But anyway, yeah. And so what you can see, right, we lost some support here. And as we lost that support, I told you, like, although I was buying here, there was definitely a lot of risk in the sense that we don't usually lose support out of these things. And so losing support could mean a substantial capitulation is coming, or we're literally just in an overcorrection and now's the time to be buying. And so, of course, we went in on the purchases. We saw the oversold reading here, on the 4-hour charts, the daily charts. We knew that this thing could recover back in here because of just history. And so because of that, we bought it, but things got crazy. And now up to the modern day, what you can see is that we are now back within the wedge and we are doing something extremely, extremely important. Now, the question I'm sure you have in your mind that I've been alluding to for 4 minutes now is, what is this massive thing that's happening? Across all of crypto, okay, across all of crypto, currently speaking, I would say probably 50, 60, 70% of your major cryptos, what is happening is we are doing something called a back test. Back tests are probably the most exciting and scary thing that can happen within the world of technical analysis. Let me explain to you what a back test is really quickly. So typically speaking, when you're in the world of crypto, let's say we have a key level of support right here. We're above it. We're doing this, right? So we're trying to hold that level of support. But what ends up happening is that your crypto, let's call it big. Let's say this is Bitcoin. Okay. Let's say this is BTC. And let's say this is $60,000. Okay. Boom. What happens is your price falls below this key level of support. Typically speaking, you won't just see that crypto just keep going down. That's not usually what happens. Maybe in a macro bear market, it does happen, but it's not usually what happens. Okay. What usually happens is that you're going to do something called a back test. And the way that I define a back test is by just saying, are you sure? The price is asking that previous point of resistance or support, are you sure? And what that looks like is this. We go back up to that previous point of support. So remember, this was support. Now we're below it. So now this is resistance. In this crypto, in this example, Bitcoin is deciding, am I sure that we are going to see an actual breakout to the downside? Or is this just a fake out? And are we actually going to reclaim and continue back higher? Okay. What you can see if we go back all the way, we did a back test before. This was a back test, right? So what I want you to watch very closely, maybe if I even go down to the 10-minute chart, you can see it a little bit better. But what you can see in this moment right here, we came down, we lost this level of support, and we went back up to it. And you see how we did this? We created this little structure on the support. This is a back test. In this example, the total market cap was deciding, am I going to re-clear this level or am I going to get rejected to the downside? But in this, instance, it was a failed back test because, of course, it was a successful back test, because we re-entered back into the structure. So what does that mean for crypto? Why is this so important? Well, what we can see currently is that the total market cap of crypto is currently retesting the $2 trillion level. $2 trillion, I don't even need to pretty much explain it to you, is an incredibly important level from a psychological perspective. 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion. It's like whenever we were investing into ADA Cardano, maybe. Let's use that as a good example. ADA Cardano hits $1, huge level psychologically. $2, huge level psychologically. It's like every $10,000 level for Bitcoin. It's like every $100 level for Solana. People just recognize it as an important level. And currently speaking, we can see here that this $2 trillion level has been important historically. We saw a lot of support and we tried our butts off to hold some support here. And if we actually go to the daily charts, let's go out here, bam, you can actually see that we were going crazy and holding support. And even in these moments where we would wick below 2 trillion, we were holding up 2 trillion extremely well back in the middle of July and using it to bounce back up to the upside. And currently speaking, what's happening is we are on the bottom side of it, determining if we're going to be able to re-clear it and not set this previous point of support into resistance. Now, the reason why it's so important as well is not only the fact that it's the $2 trillion level, but yes, this is our most recent point of macro support. This is the most recent point of structural support. And if Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum, and all of the other top alts that are currently retesting this previous point of support, which I'm going to show you the other ones in a second, are capable of re-clearing it, guys, we could be in a situation in which this is a macro fake out that could open up the doors for the total market cap itself to maybe even climb, what could this be? Let's say, for example, we see a push back up towards our 786 zone. I mean, we could see the total market cap of crypto climb 12 to 15%. That's altcoins pumping 30 to 40%, guys. That could be a beautiful move. And it's all dependent on whether or not we're capable of taking this previous point of support and not getting rejected off of it. If the total market cap and if crypto in general does get rejected off of this macro point of previous point of support, current point of resistance, we could see, of course, crypto start to whirl back to the downside. We could start to see that pullback continue and maybe not necessarily go all the way down here, but possibly just start rolling and get boring. And we have another September that's just not good, right? And so, of course, because of that, it's extremely, extremely important to watch extremely closely what's happening here at this $2 trillion level. Now, it's not just $2 trillion. We're seeing this translate across several different cryptos. For example, if I go out to Bitcoin, I can give you the exact levels that you need to be watching for some of your favorite cryptos. Let's start with Bitcoin. So currently speaking for Bitcoin, we are seeing this level sitting at the $58,000 level. Currently speaking, if we go to 58,000, try to get it on the money, as you can see, $58,000 is the point in which Bitcoin has previously held support. almost lost right here. We built the cup and handle pattern off of this level and then re-cleared it to get this beautiful pump to the upside. I mean, the last time we broke this level for Bitcoin, we pumped 20%, sending those 40%, 50% to the upside. So obviously you can see that this is a previously a strong point of either support or resistance, and Bitcoin's currently retesting it. So you need to see if Bitcoin can decisively clear $58,000 over the next couple of days. For Ethereum, it's a little bit different, and this is the only one I've been able to find that's not currently retesting anything substantial right now. But currently, what I would say is that $2,500 is the nearest level of psychological resistance, and that's the point in which Ethereum is at right now, and that's the point in which it's trying to clear. And so although it's not, this point of support or this one, because obviously Ethereum has been getting dumped much more substantially than the rest, $2,500 is still an extremely strong psychological level, one that you need to be on the lookout for the rest of this week. Going down to Solana, currently what you can see here is Solana's on a little bit of a different path as well, but it's very similar. What you can see is that from a different perspective, Solana is outperforming the rest of the market. Solana is doing better than the majority of your altcoins, but it is also currently in a back test. And the current back test in which it is in this 158, let's call it $160 level if we want to be specific. What you can see here is that Solana, look at this. I just want to show you how much liquidity is established on this just within the last few months, okay? We had support here. We had this support there. Resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance. No resistance there, loss of support right there. So look at all of these different levels, guys, in which we've interacted with this $160 zone. If Solana gets rejected here, like right here, like right here, like right there, right? Boom, there, and there. We're probably going to get a move back to the downside. We might see Solana venture back into the $138, $136, $7 range. That's very possible. The reason being is because it's a macro level of liquidity that it's back testing. But if Solana is capable of breaking through this zone, that opens up the door for us to possibly re-exit this structure in which we had this double fake out from. In my video on my main channel 2 days ago, I told you we had a double fake out here on Solana, which both invalidates each other, putting us in a spot where this is a restart. So Solana is capable of breaking out of this macro zone. Now we're in a spot where Solana could be on track for $200. And that's why it's so important for us to be able to see that Solana's price is capable of breaking this $160 level. So watch it incredibly closely. Now, if we go down to our next one, let's go to BNB. What you can see here is BNB is another beautiful example of something that's back testing. Now, I'm not going to go over every single crypto, but let's do a few more. BNB currently is retesting its $495 level. But what I would say that we need to really do is move that up to $500. What you can see here is we had support. We had macro support in which we didn't close below it, but we got those daily pushes. We got a daily close right there, but immediately recovered it on the next day. And we're currently retesting it now. And $500 is a massive level psychologically. It's not that even hard to understand. $500, right? A $500 price point is a crazy point. And so because of that, BNB, $500. That's what you need to be watching. Let's go into something like JASMY. JASMY is doing the same thing. Let's get rid of all my liquidity levels and just look at this. JASMY is currently trying to get a decisive break above. Let's go ahead and look at this 0.02138. But again, if we want to make this clear on a psychological standpoint, let's go ahead and call this 225. Right there, boom, 0.0225. Yeah, so I can't see that good, guys. But what you can see here is, again, support there, resistance there, resistance there, resistance there. If JASMY's price is able to decisively break above this previous point of support, not flip it into resistance and continue downwards, now we're in a spot where JASMY could be looking to break back up towards 0.0275. Maybe get a beautiful, what type of move would that be? Back up towards the trend would be maybe 15, 20, upside of 25% to the upside. A beautiful move could be on the way, and maybe a retest of that, like I said, back to trend up here. We could see this being, this could be cooking right now, because it seems as if, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Mid-level trend. Mid-level trend. Look at this. Boom. That breakup there could be beautiful. That's what you need to be watching out for. Don't flip this support into resistance. Let this support get flipped back into support, and we make that move to the upside. That's the determining factor of what's about to happen in the market. And like I said, it's happening for JASMY, happening for Solana, happening for Ethereum at $2,500, happening for Bitcoin at $5,800, happening for total market cap at $2 trillion. And so if you start seeing a rejection here, if you start seeing this roll back here, likelihood is we're probably going to see this market really start to cool down and maybe start to pull back again. Now, from a fundamental perspective, what are the fundamentals saying? Okay. Well, the best thing to look at, in my opinion, the number one tool is the liquidation map. The liquidation map quite simply just tells you if more people think it's going up or down. Typically speaking, the direction that more people think it's not going to go is the direction it's going to go. And what we can see here currently is that there are still more liquidations that will occur from more of like a kind of grouped perspective. If you throw it, like if you kind of average this out across all of these, there may be a little bit more in shorts liquidations at this point, but it does look from a 30-day perspective. Obviously, when we look at total liquidations over this, $58,000 to $64,000 range, there are more liquidations bundled together at these certain thresholds. And so what this means, and I know it's a little complicated, but what this means quite simply is that a lot of people think that the market's still going to go down. A lot of people are betting that the market's going to go down, which is why they would get liquidated if the price goes up. And so as a result of that, I know that over an extended period of time, the market will move in the direction of the most liquidations. And that's good for us because if there are all of these liquidations to the upside, generally this market will move in a direction to liquidate those people. Therefore, should possibly, very possibly go up to what could be $62,000, $63,000, $64,000. Now, there are no guarantees. Now, to make it really clear that there are no guarantees, guys, if we go to the 1 day, look at the difference here. On the 1 day, there are more liquidations to the downside, meaning that on the short term, it could go down, but over the long term, it might go up. And so as a result of that, there is no way of really knowing if we are going to be able to see this market break these macro levels. Maybe it does something like this. Right? Maybe we roll off of this, find a macro support and put in some type of, bullish cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders, something along those lines, and liquidate those people to the downside, then break to the upside. That's very possible. And so the way that I'm going about this right now is I'm still on a pause. I'm not buying, I'm not selling, I'm not shorting, I'm not longing. I'm actually not doing anything, at least today, probably tomorrow, until I have clarity of whether or not we're going to be able to break these macro points of support in which our cryptos are running into. If we're capable of breaking them, and then again, yes, absolutely. Maybe I'll open some longs, maybe I'll do some buying, expecting a continuation to the upside. But if we're going to sit here for a while, I don't want to be in those trades because I don't know what's going to happen. Or if we roll to the downside, then I'll start dollar cost averaging in my long-term portfolio, expecting some type of bounce back up eventually. And so the best thing that I can say to you and the best thing that I can do right now is quite simply just sit back, wait, and watch. We did a ton of buying we did some buying on Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, dominance Bitcoin. We did some buying here at, $51,000. We did some buying on $49,500 in that dip. We bought a little bit of ETH at $2,200, which is right here. We bought a little bit of Solana at $117 on the retest right there. We bought a little bit of JASMY, guys, at 0.0175 right there. We did some damn good buying recently. And so because of that, there's no need to rush into anything right now. I'd rather just be sitting back, waiting and watching. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. From a technical perspective and from a fundamental perspective, we're getting a ton of alignment that says, realistically, no one knows what's going to happen. So it's best to let this structure break. We get an idea of if we're going to clear it first, and then that's when we start going in on our trades. Now, to get an idea of what the general market is looking like from more of a back-end perspective, what I do want to go over a few more metrics that I like to keep an eye on just to keep you updated on them, okay? Now, looking at Crypto Fear and Greed Index, what you can see is that we're not in, as good, like, how do I explain this? Like, let's go to the last year, okay? So currently speaking, which doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, and I hope this is accurate. Let me double check this because maybe that is the case, but I really want to double check because yesterday we were a little higher than this. Binance, Extreme Fear, yeah, okay. So Extreme Fear there. I would assume now that the market is pumping that this is gonna, as this does update, which I think it updates and maybe a little bit here. This may go upwards a little bit, but what you can see is that currently speaking, we are still in extreme fear also. So you remember how I mentioned, we were in fear yesterday, and it still aligns well with what I was going to say. It's just kind of surprising to me that this is like our second day in extreme fear this entire year. So that was a little surprising. I honestly didn't think that we were going to see the market that low, but one way or another, whether we're in fear, whether we're in extreme fear, etc., it still does go to show that at the end of the day, right, we are still in what I believe to be a buying opportunity. I think that buying towards the bottom side of this structure, buying towards the bottom side of this structure, buying towards the bottom side or the breakout of this structure, I think it makes a lot of sense. And so I don't want to deter you from dollar cost averaging if you don't give a shit if we break out or don't break out. If you don't care if crypto does this first, right? If you don't care if you buy right here, then crypto does this and then it breaks out, then yeah, I still think we're in a buying opportunity. As I said before, when we go to the liquidation map on a 30-day perspective, we are still seeing a ton of liquidations above us. If we look at the liquidation heat map, for example, we are still seeing a ton of liquidations above us. Look, let me pull this up on the 1 year. There are still a ton of liquidations up here, as you'll see in a second, if this can load. Yeah, there are still a ton of liquidations up here, more than those that we're seeing below us within a realistic range. And so knowing that, I still think we're going to see this market over the long term push up into these $70,000, $75,000 ranges. And historically speaking, purchasing during a time of extreme fear is the best time to be purchasing. And so I don't want to deter you from that. But personally speaking, considering I just did buying way lower than this, I'm just going to pause and wait to see if this structure is capable of breaking. So from a fear and greed index perspective, that's what I'm doing. It's also backed up. If we do, let me find our RSI heat map. Give me 1 second. I will have glasses one day, guys. I promise. Here we go. RSI heat map. I mean, you can also see it here. Let's go out to the weeklies, guys. What you can see here, our average RSI is still sitting around that threshold of neutrality in a week. Now, yes, it's pushed up. We were in oversold territory for a second, but we're still below neutral. We're still sitting right around that weak threshold. Historically, again, this is a good time, not a great time, but a good time to be purchasing cryptos. And so overall, from a long-term perspective, if you don't care at all, like if you don't care what happens in the next week or 2 weeks, this is still a good time to be buying, in my opinion. Not as good as we saw last week or earlier this week, but a good time. But overall, if you were, you got in when we got in, you're sitting back and waiting and watching, I definitely think that giving this some time to give us clarity is the best move if you want to maximize short, mid, and long-term profits and, of course, growth. And so overall, those are my thoughts for today. That's why it's so important. And guys, do start leaving some questions. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll get to those in a second before I do close this thing on out. But as I mentioned before, guys, those are my thoughts. And that's why what we're seeing right now is so important, because if we're capable of breaking this macro zone of support / resistance, then we're in a spot in which we could see this market absolutely take off. We could see Bitcoin pushing back up towards 60,000, 70,000, 72,000, or 64,000, 65,000, more on a realistic range, 62,000 lower range. We could see Solana pushing up 180, 190. We could see ETH recapturing 2,500. We can see these things happen. But what we're seeing right now will determine that. And that's why you need to pay such close attention. So a couple things that you can do. One, turn on your notifications and alerts on your trading view on these key levels of support and resistance and watch them closely. 2, subscribe to this brand new channel if you have been enjoying these videos. I'm so motivated. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers by October. We're on good track. We only started a week ago. We're at 313 subs. So I really do enjoy the fact that you guys appreciate and value the content. And if you do, again, subscribe and like this video, touch that little like button so more people will be able to see it. But then lastly, guys, pay close attention to the videos that I upload. Even if you don't subscribe, even if you don't like me, it's okay. The value that I can bring you can help. Simple as that. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I know what I'm looking at. And so with that in mind, of course, I hope you guys do enjoy it. I hope you guys do, leave some questions down below if you guys want me to answer them. And of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. But again, let's jump into a couple if there are any down here, and let's get into it. I don't trade. Last bull run, I lost a lot of money. I don't blame you. Trading's rough. It sucks. It's hard. It's definitely not easy, especially in moments like this. There's so much volatility. So, Joka, I don't blame you. To any degree, I don't blame you at all. Okay, and just what's made me the most money has just been dollar cost averaging over time. Okay, Michelle, if you enjoy this, please like and subscribe. Absolutely, shout out to my mom. Just keep buying whenever is a crash. That's literally the best thing that you can do. It's literally the best thing that you can do. But overall, like I said, guys, thank you for the comments. Thank you for the kind words. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. I have some videos dropping over on my main channel later today. If you want to go check that out, the link is down in the description below. And again, while you are down there, if you could drop a sub, that would be absolutely amazing. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, everyone. And I can't wait to see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.